Greetings, Commanders! Welcome to the Season 7 Commander Cards series. Today we're talking about Plasma, and more specifically, Combat Plasma, because Plasma is one of the few utility commanders in the game that doesn't need to be a main commander, that doesn't need a lot of leadership, that can function as a kind of like a main, but preferably as a bomb. This version of Plasma is played as a Combat Plasma because basically, we're going to be relying on his dodge skill to do a little extra damage. Not necessary, but since I'm a higher tier player, I rely on... I can get away with using this combat build. If you don't have higher tiers and every time you go into galactic battles, whatever you learn in this breakdown video, basically just swap out this item and this item for HP gear. Because you can't get damage in the pants, and crit damage from Magiwell don't work on Plasma's skills, and you can still use them as a bomb. So let's get into it. So first things about Plasma is he's the one commander in the game that every single person should go into galactic battle with, ready to fight and lose. With Plasma by himself and this skill, Quantum Blast, you will never absorb your Plasma unless you accidentally put way too much leadership into him. So you will always have this commander. So get his skill to level 60. And whenever you go into a galactic battle, you're going to be able to trade Rangers more efficiently than your opponent, unless you are a bigger Plasma than your opponent. Then your smaller Plasmas usually beat bigger Plasmas because Plasma has this amazing skill called Quantum Blast. And basically what it does is when his troop slot dies, when all the troops are dead on that slot, depending on how many troops died in that last attack, their HP, 90% of their HP turns into a bomb, and it does damage to everyone on the other side, not just the slot who killed him, everyone. He is a suicide bomber. He's always been a suicide bomber. That's how that's how I got my name. And that's how originally I played him, just with a tier 2 suicide bomber. But this build's going to be the Combat Plasma build, and I have these new cards, these commander cards, I'm calling them, for Season 7. These are all JPEGs and PNGs. They're big files. They're 2.5 meg. So if you see one in a line chat or Discord, you may have to download it. Otherwise, when you zoom in, you might have blurry text. So you need the high def versions of them. These are available for free for distributions to any chat groups you're in, preferably your guild chats, as kind of a reference and kind of a timestamp where the game was at this period in Season 7 of 2019. And you can share these with your guild, and hopefully this will serve to help help train guild members that don't want to watch YouTube or don't get YouTube in their country, and they just want a reference for how this commander's played. Obviously, these are in English, so if you want to give it to your guildmates, we may have to translate them to a different language. We'll deal with that another time. Okay, so what these basically say is, in the bottom right, I get my name on it for creating it. Arc of War, the game it's from. Season 7 is a series, 13 of 13. There is going to be 12 other videos like this with 12 other cards, probably 12 individual videos. We'll see how these things go. But if you want this, check in the description below. It should be a link to Imgur. You can go to Imgur, download it to your device, or check the line groups. I do pass these out in the line groups, so you can find them there as well. Feel free to share them around. They are yours to have. Okay, so the idea is that we want to teach people how to use this commander right, and with the current gear and gems and what's changed since we last talked about Plasma, this video should be covering that. So let's get into this. It says Combat Plasma is a heavy damage dodge commander. So he's relying on his damage and his HP to trigger his Quantum Blast. The more damage and HP, the bigger the blast. Not defense, not dodge, only his damage and HP determine the Quantum Blast. So if you're running a Combat Plasma and you are relying on that dodge, that means you're expecting to trigger that dodge skill and expect to be getting a little riposte damage from his first skill, which I guess I didn't cover. That first skill should be talked about. Energy transfer, basically, if he dodges an attack, he does damage directly back. This skill cannot crit, but it is not considered spell damage. So if he uses this skill against another Plasma, he will trigger their Quantum Blast and blow himself up if he kills all the troops. So just know that Plasma's Quantum Blast is only triggered by combat damage, not spell damage, which is why Elf can demolish a Plasma without taking any damage at all. And I'll get into that in a second. So the gear setup is as follows. Since we need damage and HP, it used to be Apox and damage in the helm was the way to do it, but now we get so much raw damage just from Titans that we actually don't need any damage in the helmet, we actually need HP. So the Gift of the Valkyrie, or the new item, which is called, what is it? Wrath from the Stars. Maybe best in slot. Definitely best in slot for, we don't know for sure. This item's kind of up in the air for now. For sure, the Gift of the Valkyrie is an awesome headpiece. So if you do go down that path and trying out that other headgear, let me know. But for the most players out there, and every player that has a plasma, Gift of the Valkyrie is pretty easy to get once you're 6 months, a year into this game, and you definitely want to get one for your plasma and double Titans. As far as gems are concerned, let's do chest. I said so for dodging, right, with combat plasma, you want to have as much dodge in your chest as you can get, and then fill it with HP. Same with pants, right? Except for pants, I went ahead and did the dodge just because if I'm going to be going into the dodge, I want to go all the way, make my opponents land a guaranteed hit, skill, or gem. You can go HP here more. I think I get enough HP from these two, and I found this is kind of a good balance for me. As far as gems are concerned, I run Gemini Libra because I find that the Libra helps in case if I do want to use a tier suppression march, I don't want to get bombed by tier 2. Tier 2 on plasma is incredibly powerful, so you have to run some tier suppression. And since I don't run any chest beast tier suppression, when I don't run the Diablo haul, I just rely on the 2-piece Libra to give me that 10% tier suppression. With my tier 10 against tier 2, I have 90% tier suppression. That's enough to trade effectively if I do get into a low tier fight, which is very rare in the first place. And then I use Gemini because Gemini is great against smaller plasmas. So plasma has 4 main commanders he has to worry about. Rogers, because Rogers goes immune. Elf, because Elf does a ton of spell damage. Smaller plasmas than himself, because he will one-shot them and then they will blow him up better than he blows them up because he one-shots them. And then Gilly. Gilly removes guaranteed hit skill gems. So Gilly with dodge cannot be hit by plasma because plasma lacks a guaranteed hit skill unless he entirely blows up. So Gilly's kind of a weird matchup for him. There may be other ones there, but for the most part, those are the ones you got to worry about. And then... where do we get lost at? Libra, Gemini. Okay, so those are the gems. Now, there are new gems out there, right? But Andromeda would be great for just stats. However, I think for the general use of plasma as a utility commander, most people aren't going to be using their Andromeda sets on him right away. Maybe later on, definitely. You want to get those Andromeda 45% gems into all of his gear. And then probably end up replacing your Libra and just be careful not to get into tier suppression fights against lower tier. Because if you do see a high tier plasma with 0 tier suppression, send your own plasma with tier 2 and blow them up. You should trade efficiently. I kind of want to show a replay of how plasma skill works. I kind of feel like it's common sense, but because we're doing a commander breakdown, I just should throw it out there for reference. So let's go ahead and take my plasma. He's already got that same exact gear on. Let's go run him into an infantry commander. There's another plasma. This would be a good example. So plasma versus plasma. He should be running 6 slots. I'm running 6 slots. So he has the walker troops. So he's bigger than me. So I'll blow up all of his slots. Here we go. He didn't one-shot me. So the bomb is not going to be very big. Only 12 troops worth of bombs. So I only killed 2 per slot. I still trade better than him. He killed 12 of my... Oh, actually, no. He did trade better than me. Because he killed 50 and I only killed 12. But I want him to one-shot my entire slot. So there's a good example of the dodge skill. He did not land the guaranteed hit. So I got that little riposte damage back. So, man, these replays happening so fast. All right, here's a Gemini. I shouldn't one-shot him. Perfect. Oh, yeah, I'm not hitting very hard at all. I might not have the right gear on. I have to double-check that. But this is a pretty good explanation of a plasma fight. This is actually a pretty fair fight, which is not usually the fights you get into with plasma. But I think what's important is you saw the bomb damage. When the entire slot blew up, there goes the bomb damage. It's only the amount of troops that died in the last attack, not what started on that slot originally. It's only that last attack that hit it. So there you go. As far as like Pisces, Aries, Virgo, listen, the whole point is that plasma is a true glass cannon. When he gets hit, you hopefully lose all the troops in that slot, and they blow up for as much damage to your opponent on the other side, or he just completely dodges it 100%. You don't want to stack defense. And if you are going against a plasma, as a general rule, don't march a full attack against him. Only march, slots 1, 2, and 3. That way, if you do one-shot one of his slots or blow up one of his slots, you have no troops in the back that give away points. And that's kind of how you deal with plasmas. Always send smaller plasmas against bigger plasmas, and that way he'll one-shot you and you'll blow his whole troop army up. Remember, infantry always has lower stats, so if you plasma bomb infantry troops, you typically do way more damage than if you go against airships or walkers. But remember, airships and walkers are worth more units too, so they're bigger units. But you know, if you've never seen like a tier 2 plasma versus a tier 7 plasma, that is decimating. A tier 2 plasma can absolutely obliterate a tier 7 plasma. You know what? Let me see if I can even just grab that real quick, see if I have one. You know, there are some ones from back in the day. I'm not going to start going through them now because I want to make this video quick. But that's combat plasma. You know, you can always throw on a little resistance weekend to make sure you're not getting SWE marched by tier 11. Or if you're running tier 11, you always run a little extra resistance weekend if you can. And let's finish up with this infograph so that we know it's useful. Where is that? Okay. Not the most smooth transition, guys. Sorry about that. I was getting pretty good at this for a while, but somehow that image got closed and I lost it. So here it is again. All right, let's round this thing out. Gems for attack, right? HP, accuracy, then some resistance weaken, maybe a few crit percent, but remember his skills don't crit, so you don't really get much value there. Let's see. Make sure you lose your entire slot of troops with Con Blast. Okay, so Plasma's not a true main, but the most useful small March utility commander in the game. His gems can be a bit more versatile. You don't have to go with 4-piece. 2-piece Libra is important. I do strongly recommend Gemini. It's good just to have that hit on him, especially if he's dodging away on somebody. But as a combat plasma or bomb plasma, they're not essential. You can kind of piece together his gear, especially if you're an airship walker main. You don't even use infantry. You can always use him with tier 1 rangers just to get a galactic battle started without sacrificing any major points for your guild. Just using rangers. Everyone in your guild should be ready to put their plasma on the injury list for each galactic battle all the time. Always. Because, just wait for him to heal if you don't want to pay the gold. Wait for 4 or 5 hours even after the battle's over. Just always be ready. Everyone in the guild should be bombing their plasma. So when he comes around as a release plasma event, everyone should have at least an A commander. I don't even evolve mine to S-class, even though I could get a little more value out of them when I get into combat situations. Just, it's so rare. The majority of my damage does come from Quantum Blast, and that's more what I focus on anyway. As I said, I'm a tier 10 account. I usually go against tier 12, so I don't really get to dodge them anyway. And I don't hit them very hard as well. So, that was the final thought. So that was basically the final thought, just kind of a different version of it. There's one more thing I like to put on here, just as like a quick reminder. What is Plasma strong against, right? He's strong against full marches because his Quantum Blast hits everything. He's great against commanders who have low accuracy, and even better against commanders who have 0 hit skills, right? Or no hit gems, because he can just keep dodging away. Most people don't run commanders that have no dodge at all or no guaranteed hit at all. That's not a thing. He's great against other infantry commanders, even Elixir, even Plasma, or even Stella. But he's really weak against 1 slot bust because Quantum Blast only will hit all the troops, and if your opponent only has 1 slot of troops, you only hit the 1 slot for when you could have hit 6. And then these damn pants are in the way, so I might have to revise this on the line groups. Maybe check the description. I might have already revised it. He's weak against smaller plasmas. He's weak against Elf. Weak against one more. Gilly. So plasmas, Elf, Gilly, and I'm losing my mind here. Rogers. Thank you. Those are the main 4. So that's the Season 7 combat plasma. Hopefully, as these series go on, I'll be a little more fluid. I will admit that this one was seemed a bit more simple than it really was. Combat plasma is a utility commander, so it's not so cut and dry. There's a lot of opportunity for different uses here with him. But that pretty much covers it. I hope you guys like this video. I can't redo Commander videos breakdowns because not much changes, but because this is meta specific, because we have new gems and gear since I did all those Commander breakdown videos, I think those are going to be really useful, and I'm going to add these cards into the rotation, into the circle, so they can be shared around for people that that want the information without having to watch the video. So leave a like if you like this video. If you want to recommend what commander to do next, put it in the comments below. Did I leave anything out? If I left anything good out, check the comments. I will super like any comments that are important to mention. I may have missed things. It happens. So that's it. Thanks for watching. My name is Melt. We will see you on the next one. Goodbye.